guys, it's Laura. Excuse me. So I wanted to do another video changing my ostomy, but showing you how I changed my two-piece and also how I've kind of adjusted it a year later. When I did my video about how to change your ostomy, I was probably a month out of surgery. So I've just developed some new skills and I'm a lot quicker at it. So I wanted to do a new video showing you how I do it now and some tips I picked up. First of all, I want to talk about the time of day that I do it. I find that the best time where my stoma is the quietest is right when I wake up. I walk around, I don't eat, I don't drink anything, but I walk around for about 10 minutes just because sometimes if I do it right when I wake up, Trixie's still kind of waking up and she'll spit up some stuff. Without further ado, I am going to start. And so you won't be able to see my face, but you'll be able to see my stoma, which is the most important part. So I do it standing up now. Still tuck in the towel because just in case she leaks, I don't want to get it on the floor and my pants and everything. So I'm just going to talk about what I have really quick before I begin. So this stuff is like adhesive remover. It's called Nil-Tack, and it's basically like a spray adhesive remover. I've been using this for about 6 months, and I love it. So that's one of the things. Instead of the stoma rings, I use a stoma strip. It's like the same material. It just is in a strip, so you don't have to break it apart. Anything to make our lives easier, right? So this is by Coloplast. And that's, I think, who makes the stoma rings as well. So I just order this with all my other ostomy stuff. Still have the stoma powder, the DAP stoma powder, and the yeast stuff. I have yeast under my ileostomy pretty much every time I change. I have my handy dandy curved scissors, and I love these. Some gauze, and I have my bag part of the two-piece already. Oh, this is a good thing to know. You should close your bag before you do it, because if you get it on and you forget to close it, you'll still poop all over the place. And I have the wafer part of it. And I also have a handy-dandy poop bag to put all of my used stuff in. So usually I just open it up before I start changing because it makes my life a little bit easier. Before I take my bag off, I get everything as ready as possible. So I'm going to take my wafer and my scissors, and I know my stoma size because after about 8 weeks, your stoma stops. I feel like I should be talking to you. After about 8 weeks, your stoma stops changing sizes. So you kind of know where to cut and what the size of your stoma is. So I'm going to tuck this back in and start cutting. I'll try to do this where you can see, but essentially it's like the same as my first video, except I don't have to measure anymore, which is really nice. So my stoma is still a little bit oblong, so I have to cut a little bit extra at the top and a little bit less on the sides. So stomas can be any kind of shape. You just have to get used to what shape and size your stoma is. But once you do, it's not even hard to do. So my stoma looks like that, pretty much. So throw that away. Now, before we start, I'm still going to be preparing. I take the Coloplast strip, and around my circumference of my stoma, it's not as long as this whole Coloplast strip, so I tear off about half, and I can reuse the other half next change. So I just put it back in the little container. So I roll it to make a nice little snake, and about a little bit longer than that. So just keep rolling. So it looks like that. Very nice. I put that on top of my bag. And now we are ready to start changing my ileostomy. So, first things first, you can see my wafer is like really coming up. Just because I swam in the ocean with it, I went snorkeling in Florida. So I might not need to use all this, but this sprays on really nice, and it dries really quickly, and then you just peel it off, and it's painless. So I'll just let that dry a little bit, and watch how easy this is. Peel it off. Okay, so I still take the bag, fold it over, pop it in my little bag over here. So, this is Trixie. She is kind of droopy right now because after the bag is on for a while, she kind of like droops over. She comes back up. So, I don't necessarily use saline solution anymore. I just use tap water. And I asked the doctors about that, and they said that's absolutely fine. So, you just want to clean the skin that's been covered for a while. Let it breathe. It feels so good. I like to scratch any itches that I have at this time as well because, you know, your skin is not going to see the light of day for a couple days again. So I just have a little bit of my Stoma paste still around it, so I just clean that up if I can beforehand. I asked a Stoma nurse about if it was okay if I had a little bit of residual Stoma paste around my stoma, and she said that's fine because the heat kind of melts them into each other. But I still like to get off as much as I can before putting the new bag on. So that seems good. So we're going to dry that off. I don't do the volcano anymore, but that's pretty much only when it starts leaking I do the volcano, but that's only when it starts leaking. Because I found a time of day where Trixie is relatively quiet, I don't do it, but if she's being a pain in the butt or stomach, I guess, then I will do the volcano, trying just, you know, do the best that I can. So, we're all dried off. So next thing that I do is I just double check my measuring. So I put it on, and it looks like it's a pretty good fit. There's a little bit of skin there, so I might flip it over, see if this is a better fit. Looks like it is. So, as you can see, I don't know if you can see because it's really bright. I wonder if I close this, that'll be better. I think that is better. Okay, so there's a little bit of yeast on the side, so I'm just going to take my nystatin powder, which is yeast powder, and I just sprinkle it right over the areas that have yeast. I don't sprinkle it anywhere else, just over where I have the yeast infection. And then I take my stoma powder and I put it right around my stoma, just because sometimes my skin gets a little raw, and then just sprinkle it kind of everywhere, make pretty patterns. Okay, and then this is a little ridiculous, but this is what I do. I lean over and I pat the powder off. And then I take a piece of gauze and I just gently get rid of most of the powder. Now this creates a really good seal for me. So I asked a stoma nurse about how much powder you needed to have left on your skin, and she said almost none. You just need to let it pancake where it needs to pancake, because that means your skin might be a little wet still, or weeping. And now I am ready to put this around it. So I just stretch it out, put it right as close to the stoma as I think is possible. Now this is sometimes where I get a problem. I push the stoma paste or the stoma ring around it, and when I press on my stomach sometimes, Trixie kind of like spits up a little bit of poop, and then I just wipe it, and as long as it feels like it's still a good seal here, if it gets a little bit of poop, then it means that it's not underneath it, and I still continue. But if it gets poop underneath, you have to take it off and clean your skin and start all over again, which is frustrating, but it's better to have a good seal than one that only lasts a couple days, because we really want to preserve our skin. So you take this, I think it was actually this way around that I cut it, put it down right where it looks best, and as I said before, stretch your stomach so that it doesn't like crease in any weird places, so that the idea is that we want to be as comfortable as we can. If we put our ileostomy on like this, some skin might be bunched and then you can't really stand up straight. I've done that a couple times and that's just really unfortunate. So you take the waterproof barrier off, just pat that down, take the other side off. And for some reason, I don't know why, but last time I told you that my belly button is covered by the waterproof barrier, so I used to cut it. But now it's either like a smaller waterproof barrier, I think it might be, or just my stoma moved or something, but it doesn't cover my belly button anymore, so I don't have to do that. Okay, and then the last step is to just pop your bag back on. And usually they say, a lot of people say, I don't always do it, but that if you warm the wafer up, it creates a better seal. So sometimes I just walk around with my hand over my stomach for a while. You take that off, you pop it in the laundry, and you clean up the rest of everything, and you have changed your ileostomy. Your two-piece bag, and I, once again, use Hollister brand. I should probably tell you. So I'm using 44 millimeter ring, like wafer, and it is number 14802 from Hollister. So there's what it looks like in the package, and I'm just using a bag. The number is 18182. It's just an opaque bag. I moved from the clear to the opaque because it makes me feel prettier. And other than that, I think I covered most things. If you guys have any questions or any topics that you would like to, sorry, that's very inappropriate, see, that would be totally open. I'd be totally open to doing any other topics, but right now, that is all I have for you. And I hope you guys have a great and healthy new year. Bye!